Tucker Carlson is continuing his faux populist nonsense, this time in regard to the war in Afghanistan. And he decided to go after a prominent war hawk, Senator Lindsey Graham, 30 minutes before Graham appeared on Sean Hannity's show. Let's hear what he had to say.
Just thinking, Kabul fell in a day. The president of Afghanistan, the college professor, got on a plane with the cash and left. And most of us were really surprised by this because for 20 years, the foreign policy establishment and its many lickspittles in Congress have assured us that everything was fine. We're building democracy. We're doing a great job. That's what our trillions were buying. What do those people have to say now? What does Lindsey Graham have to say about that? At some point when we get a little time in the next week, we're gonna put together a montage of Lindsey Graham talking about how great Afghanistan is for the last 20 years and ask him, like, did you believe it when you said this? He's always welcome on the show to explain. Maybe he'll come.
Ugh. Now, what Tucker Carlson is doing there is actually pretty clever, which is what makes him so dangerous, right? Because what look, do you think he actually cares about forever wars and all of that stuff? Like, I don't know. I don't recall Tucker Carlson raising the alarm about Afghanistan or Iraq or any of the other failed wars that we got involved in, right? I don't hear him talking about the CIA and the US government conducting coups in countries like Bolivia. I don't hear him talking about trying to overthrow the leader of Venezuela and essentially do another coup there, which by the way, we attempted several times and failed. He doesn't really care about the foreign policy angle, but I do think that he's using this as a way to differentiate himself from the unpopular failed policies that are indicative of conservatives like Senator Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, the way you laid it out, the timeline, he's clearly trying to differentiate himself, if not from Lindsey Graham, from Sean Hannity. If he was on my show, I'd ask him this. Wink, wink, Sean, why aren't you asking him? And it's a perfectly fine question. Lindsey Graham has been wrong on this and basically every other question of foreign policy for years and years and years. For Tucker Carlson, I don't know what his original positions were 20 years ago on going into Afghanistan or Iraq. He didn't have a show then. It's possible footage exists somewhere in a bin at MSNBC. I don't know. I don't especially care. He's so overwhelmingly horrible on most issues, including, by the way, while he may not be saying we should stay in Afghanistan, he's certainly using it to push the Great Replacement theory and all of that.
Exactly.
But more importantly, in terms of, like, if you're fundamentally opposed to forever war against the military-industrial complex, Tucker Carlson not wanting to permanently occupy Afghanistan is a win. Let's talk to him about shutting down hundreds of other bases abroad. Is he down for that? Maybe, we'll see. Stopping drone strikes all over the place, the coups that you talked about. We'll see how far his opposition to military adventures actually go. But more significantly, let's start with the easiest question. So should we cut the military budget now? We're not doing the stupid war that you didn't like, right? We don't need that money. So if he doesn't want to do any of these wars, is he ready to cut the budget in half? Does anyone think that?
Yeah, that's a great point. And he didn't do a segment, as far as I know. I could be wrong, so if I am, please send me that segment. But I'm willing to bet this segment doesn't exist, where he goes after Republican lawmakers who are now proposing an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that would add an additional $25 billion to the military.
Yeah.
And this is after we pulled troops out of Afghanistan in that failed war. And this is also after Biden, proposed an increase to last year's NDAA. So, I mean, he should weigh in on that. I'd love to hear what Tucker Carlson believes. Because look, I want to drill this into people's heads, okay? There are some people who are stupid enough to think that Tucker Carlson ain't so bad. I mean, look, he's using populist rhetoric. Maybe he's on our side. Maybe he really does care about the well-being of Americans. Maybe he really does want to end forever wars. Maybe he is a good guy. Now, people who tend to perpetuate those kinds of lies tend to go on Tucker Carlson's show quite often, to be quite honest with you. But with that said, Tucker Carlson is very much what Donald Trump pretended to be. And it's this xenophobic, racist, America first kind of guy. And so he's not willing to accept Afghan refugees into the country. He's been on the record saying incredibly disgusting things about civilians from these countries. When you really think about it, this goes along with what his idea of a utopia is, and it is closed borders, a white ethno-state. And why are we wasting any time doing anything in any other country? This should be America first, right? Now, does he actually want to do away with the corporate interests that pushed us into these forever wars in the first place? No, he never does that. In fact, all of his criticism toward corporate executives or people like Jeff Bezos, for instance, is about culture war related issues. It's not about greed. It's not about the exploitation of labor. It's not about changing or reforming the power structures in this country. It's not about getting money out of politics.
There's no wealth tax coming.
There's none of that. It's all about shut down the borders. People who aren't white are awful, and we shouldn't accept any refugees. But there's really, look, he's a Swanson heir, okay? Homeboy was rich before he was a Fox News host.
Yeah, he was rich before he was born.
So he's like, he's the epitome of what progressives and leftists want to fight. So if you have someone who claims to be a leftist telling you that Tucker ain't so bad, really ask yourselves, who is Tucker? Where does he come from? What's his background? And what is he really advocating for? Because he's not advocating for the policies we want.
Yeah, and what will he do when he's inevitably president? Ask those questions.
Well,
yeah, look, he's obviously already incredibly influential on the right, likely to become more so whether he stays in media or goes into politics. And so you are totally right to spend time and effort into making sure people know who he is. But in terms of like how wowed I'm gonna be that maybe we kind of agree on one facet of a topic, it's like, okay, that's cool. Like if I found out that David Duke also thought that season 8 of Game of Thrones got a bad rap, it's like, okay, cool, but you still suck.
Yeah.
So I'm moving on.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.